So, Josh, I think I have a ghost animal in my house.
A ghost animal?
I'll put Duke in his kennel at night and lock the front of it.
Okay.
And then I wake up in the morning to let him out, and there's a mess on the floor.
What?
Like feet away.
Like
so,
what? Like what kind of a mess?
Like either he peed on the floor or pooped on the floor.
What?
Yeah. So it's to the point I'm going to put a camera up.
You got to do that.
Because either it's a ghost dog or
oh my
Duke
God.
is unlocking the cage, going outside to use the floor, going back in the cage and locking it again.
So he's like a Houdini, maybe.
I know.
Like maybe you should
insane.
Take the dog on the road or something, bro.
4 times this has happened now, so I don't get it. I have no idea.
It's amazing. Well, I think we're all set up, but we're gonna throw it over to Nick, who's actually on location again. Except this time he is in the lovely state of Colorado. Nick, how you doing over there, bro?
We're doing good. Yeah, thank you so much to this amazing family over here. It's been a little journey getting here, but you know, I was excited to talk to all of you. Number one, thank you for all the support through the years. I know she reached out to me recently, and you know, at first, like I don't know when I get messages. You know, I don't know who's going to reach out and stuff like that. But there was something so compelling with like the way you worded things and how you reached out, and I just felt like I needed to talk to you. And then when I got talking to you, I was like, whoa, there's something really unique here. And you know how you meet people in life and you cross paths for certain reasons, and you know that like there's something greater to happen. And I really believe in that, true-heartedly. So I just felt like really compelled, and then you started telling me your story about your brother Cody, and then I spoke to you, and then once I spoke to you, I'm like, I have to meet you. I have to talk to you. We have to do it for something greater that is happening now. So it's incredible to like finally be able to meet you, and thank you so much for allowing me in your home.
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
So let's start from the beginning. About 2 months ago now, about back in March. Back in March of 2020. Let's start with you, Leanne. What happened?
So Cody actually goes to school up in Grand Junction, Colorado, which is about 4 hours from here. And he was due to come home for spring break. At the time, the schools had also, because of the coronavirus, had decided to extend the spring break to 2 weeks. So at that time, Cody was coming home. We were battling what had been diagnosed on Kevin as pneumonia, and I had been diagnosed with bronchitis. Never even contemplated that it was the coronavirus. I mean, we had actually been battling it since early part of March. For me, the bronchitis even in late February. So Cody comes home. He came home on March 14th, and you know, we were still not feeling great. Kevin then actually went back to work for about 2 hours on a Thursday night and just spiked a fever while he was at work and ended up coming back home. And so the doctor on that Friday, this would have been like March 21st, sent Kevin for a coronavirus test. 2 days later on Sunday, we actually got a positive coronavirus test.
Wow.
Of Kevin. The doctor at that time had said, well, I'm going to be presumed positive just because of my exposure to Kevin within the house. Same thing with Cody. He had started to exhibit symptoms over that weekend of Kevin getting the positive test. And so we immediately, once we had the positive test, started self-isolating within here. Kevin moved out of our bedroom, moved down to the sofa sleeper in the family room. We pretty much locked her in her room and was like, you know, so we never shared a common area of the house. Cody stayed up in his bedroom. I stayed up in our bedroom. And anytime if somebody needed to come down to the kitchen or, you know, any common areas of the house, we would announce, okay, I'm going to the kitchen. You know, we would get lunch or whatever we were doing, and you know, Lysol, we had a container of Lysol wipes on the island next to the thermometer we were all using to check our temperatures. and we'd wipe everything down, wipe the thermometer down, and then we would go off into our self-isolation.
Yeah. And what was your temperature at that point for you?
I never got above about 100 and like low 103.
And that's what I hear with the coronavirus. Like you can either have a high temperature or it could just be normal and you just smaller symptoms. Like everybody's reacting differently is my understanding.
For me, it was the fatigue. I mean, to walk from our bedroom down 10 steps to go into the kitchen, I was totally out of breath, and going upstairs was worse. We had a pulse ox where we could check our own oxygen levels that you put on your finger, and I was always running just barely above 90, especially if I would get up and about. A lot of times if I would make that jaunt back upstairs from being down here, my oxygen level would drop below 90, like 88, 80, 89.
Wow. Okay.
Just in that short distance. I mean, it's not a huge distance from our kitchen upstairs.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the fatigue and the shortness of breath and feeling like you're struggling to breathe.
What about you, Kevin? So you came down with COVID, and
yes, I was at work. I was working. Felt that I could go back to work, and then 2 hours into my shift, I started feeling horrible. And by the time I got home, I took my temperature. I was 102.3, and you know, like she said, I called the doctor, and the next day they had me come in and do the test. But it's pretty much same symptoms as Leanne. I mean, the fever, you know, the shortness of breath. You just felt like crap. Food, there was no taste. You had no appetite. You know, I lost 20 pounds throughout, you know, the whole thing. And it's the most miserable sickness that you ever had. And I thought, because I'd had pneumonia, actually twice. I started in February, got over it, and then got it again for what the doctors were saying was pneumonia, which turns out probably a combination of that and the coronavirus.
Wow. And you're a sergeant.
Yes.
In the police. Yeah, tell us about your background and everything like that.
So I've been in law enforcement this is my 20th year. I spent 7.5 years with the Adams County Sheriff's Office, and then I moved to the University of Colorado at the Anschutz Medical Campus in Aurora. So I've been a cop for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy how this virus is just rapidly taking over like the world right now. We're in isolation. We have to wear these crazy masks, and it's just weird walking through the airports, conversating, communicating, like social distancing. It's just a weird time. But it's serious too. Obviously, here we are. It's a very serious, you know, thing that has affected a lot of families, a lot of loved ones, and I don't know. And so, and you didn't have any symptoms.
Nope.
So at the time, what were you thinking? Were you just trying to keep busy? And
I was trying to keep busy. I was doing schoolwork. I was FaceTiming my friends every day, and I was doing what I could to help them. And the day before my brother actually went to the hospital, he pulled me aside when he saw me outside my room. He's like, once all this is over, we will go do something because you have helped Mom, Dad, and I so much.
yeah.
And my dad actually heard that conversation because we were up by my room.
Oh man.
Yeah, she was a big help. I'd actually gone to the hospital. They took me out here in an ambulance a few days before Cody had gone, and the fire department was gracious enough to give her a bunch of masks, which I think is part of what helped her when she was, you know, doing her own self-isolation, and when she had to come out, you know, she was able to help protect herself a little bit more and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's interesting how it's affecting all of us differently. Like, you don't have any symptoms. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. You just don't know. But it's a strange time. So let's talk about Cody, your son, and your brother. So where do you want to start? Tell me the story about Cody, just his life. Let's hear everything about Cody, because I want to learn more.
Well, he was a great kid. You know, from a very young age, he was very giving. You know, it's unique in that way. I recall a time, and we've shared this with a lot of people, that when he was younger, we were in California, just on a family trip, and I think we were at Hermosa Beach, and there was a young girl, a little bit younger than Cody. He was maybe 5, 6-ish, somewhere around there, and girl had Down syndrome. And it did not matter who you were in life with Cody, that he walked over to her and he played with her. You know, that's the kind of person he was, is he would always, you know, had a very giving soul. You know, give of his time, give of, you know, everything. You know, he would come with me. I volunteered with the sheriff's office every Christmas. We would do the Christmas crusade for kids, where as law enforcement we would go out and do kind of a shop with a cop type thing and buy gifts for kids and families that couldn't afford stuff. And he would always come so that way he could learn and see and appreciate what he has versus what other people don't. And then that continued even up until last year, where we do shop with a cop on this side now, with my agency. And
Well, that was always a family affair.
yeah.
All four of us would go for shop with a cop.
so just to be able to, you know, be able to give back to the community. And then we got into, you know, baseball in middle school, which was his passion. That was pretty much his life story. You know, if you wanted to know baseball and you wanted to know history of baseball, Cody knew it. I mean, this was a kid that he was sharp as a tack when it came to baseball history and knowledge.
I mean, he studied the game like nobody else
Literally.
I've ever met.
The MLB channel was literally on in his room from the time he got a TV, you know, and up until, you know, he passed. I mean, he would study and learn baseball. He knew it better than I did, and I've coached for probably, I think it's about 11 years. I started coaching him, you know, in Little League and through the Aurora Rec. He started at Arapahoe Little League playing there. He was just a great kid, great teammate, very, you know, giving still.
Well, and then when he wasn't playing, he was umpiring. So he would umpire for Arapahoe Little League and the youth sports here in the city of Aurora. Then he would help us coach her softball team. Kevin and I, for years, from the time she got into softball at 8 or 9, we had a core group of girls that pretty much stayed together, and we went up through the age groups together. And when he would come home from college during the summertime, he would help us coach. And then last year she started high school, and we decided we wanted to not coach softball because then we couldn't go and watch her play because the seasons were the same. And Cody and his best friend, Cody's like, Jared and I will do it. We'll take over the team.
Yep.
So, you know, he coached, he umpired, he played. He actually played all the way through to club level at Colorado Mesa.
Oh, wow. Wow. Very competitive, very passionate
He
individual.
was.
Yeah.
He was. I
Charismatic,
mean, some of the stories we've heard, you know, we've had kids that have messaged us that, you know, he would go to the local park and, you know, he would be working on his swing and some different things, and, you know, little kids would come through and they would just sit and watch him, and then he would begin to converse with them and, you know, give them pointers and, you know, let them come over and, you know, basically play with him, you know, work out with him. And, you know, a lot of those kids were very appreciative of how he would make the time, you know, when he's working on his skill set to help kids. And that's the way Cody was, you know. When he umpired, if you struck out, he'd give you a high five, and give you a pat on the back, you know, say, hey, you got it next time. He was a very, sorry, I get choked up here because
It's a very giving kid. Yeah.
we had a bond. We had that father-son bond. We were best friends, and, you know, through this virus, I lost my best friend, and it's, you know, it's hard to, you know, I've said to go to a baseball field or go to a game, or, you know, I do honor guard at work, and when he was in town, you know, we'd do Rockies games and do the honor guard, and he would come with me to watch, you know, the honor guard, and, you know, I'd be able to kind of bring him down behind the scenes and stuff, and, you know, we had that bond, and, you know, it's...
Well, that bond will never be broken, though. You know, I think it's that connection will, regardless if physically he's here or gone, that energy and that connection will always be bonded, regardless of beliefs and ideas and stuff. I really believe that, and unfortunately, like, all of us are on this journey, and I know we spoke about Leanne a little bit on the phone. It's like we have these journeys that we're faced with these ultimate challenges in life, you know, and here's like a challenge that's a curveball thrown at you, you know, and now you have to figure out how to overcome it. And mentally, it's like really challenging at times. But that bond is still there. You know, that bond is still here, the atmosphere. And the other thing is, too, is like I feel Cody has impacted millions.
No, he has.
People that are hearing his story, reaching out, like even me being here right now, it's impacted me personally. And I've never met him, but I feel like I've met him through you.
Yeah.
Just the energy of all three of you, you know? Just speaking with you over Instagram, talking with you on the phone, and hearing your story about Cody. I mean,
she's gotten messages from people that, you know, friends of hers, that their kids were up at Colorado Mesa, and they were in a very, this one kid was in a very dark place. And the mother messaged Leanne and said, you know, Cody saved my kid's life.
yeah.
No, she didn't just message me.
So-
She actually posted that on my Facebook page.
Wow.
Not private message that you can do via Facebook. She put it on the page that her son had been in a very difficult place the first week. It was like welcome week at Mesa. And it was the beginning of Cody's junior year, so just this past fall. And Cody just kind of took him under his wing, and she strongly believed that Cody had saved her son's life.
Wow.
But we have gotten so many messages from people, you don't know me, but I knew Cody. And just stories like that about just, he would give, you know, his shirt off of his own back
Yeah.
for somebody who needed it. He was just a kind, giving person. That was just Cody.
We learned over the weekend that, you know, as I said when you guys had gotten here, you know, we received a card from the Humane Society up in Grand Junction, and we had no clue that Cody was going up on Sundays and volunteering his time to work with dogs. And he's got 3 dogs here and his cat, and you know, he would give of his time and, you know, do things for others. And
Yeah.
you know, one of his friends that is one of his best friends that we went to dinner with would tell us that they'd be sitting there at dinner, and Cody would see something right or not right with a couple or with a person that's sitting by themselves, and he would excuse themselves and go over and introduce themselves, and he'd start talking, and all of a sudden tears were flowing with these people, and he just had a way to communicate with people.
Yeah.
And, you know, bring joy to people's lives. And, you know, when they were in dark spots, or, you know, it didn't matter who you were, he'd make a friend. And, you know, that's just the kid that he was.
I mean, Cody was larger than life. He loved life. He always tried to not take it too seriously.
Yeah, we
I mean,
can't.
you know, it was
Right.
like you hardly ever saw that kid mad. You know, he always tried to see the positive in every situation. His teammates have told us that he would always, you know, if they were having a bad day, just, you know, he would tell him. Myself, he would like joke around, and it's like, Cody, I'm just not in the mood. And he's like, Mom, learn to take a joke, you know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
He really tried to not take life too seriously.
Him and I would have gone along perfectly. Because I deal with so many serious things in life, and that's the problem, is I think sometimes we forget to stop down for a second and realize we're human. We have to laugh and have fun, because there is a lot of, like, you know, tragedy and sadness and horrible things that happen in this world, and you see it, you know, just with the work you do and what we deal with. And but look at Cody's still affecting everybody around him that he's affected. You probably haven't met a lot of those people, and here they are reaching out to you now, telling you how much he's affected you.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I think that people come into this world for certain reasons, you know, and I've been talking about this a lot, about ripple affecting this universe for a positive, you know, when it's your time to go, because we never know when it's our time to go. We
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
I mean, look at this. But when you go, no regrets, and let that positivity go. And Cody did that. I mean, Cody
totally
did
did.
that, you know? It's incredible. His story, his courage, everything he's been through, and how he's affected like so many different people through his walk of life. And I have
Well,
nothing but respect for him.
Up at Mesa, up at Colorado Mesa where he went to school, they are actually doing scholarships in his name.
Oh, wow. Okay.
This year, a senior got one of them. And then 2 of his very best friends that he went to school with, we got to actually nominate. President Foster had asked us who influenced Cody up here while he was up here. So both of them, one of them is a teammate on the club baseball team. And then the other is his very best friend that we went to dinner with while we were there this weekend. So they will each get scholarships from Mesa.
Well, in his little league where he played, is retiring his number, and they're creating a Best Sportsmanship Award in his name.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
We wanted to purchase a memorial bench to put up there for people, and the city of Aurora came in and said no. You know, as the city, for all that our family, and especially with what Cody has done for kids and youth throughout the city, is going to put that in for us. His high school, which it takes a lot around here to retire a jersey, is retiring his high school jersey next year. There's just a large amount of honors. I mean, we, being in law enforcement, you know, I had 2 processions from my department of officers honoring Cody because they knew that he wanted to be a police officer someday. That's what he was majoring in, criminal justice. He wanted to follow in my footsteps. And the last one, the third one we had was 75
74 cars.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Fire trucks, ambulance. We had bagpipes out in front of the house.
That's cool.
I mean, the community has honored my son and what he did. You know, he was all about safety. He was all about, you know, keeping people, you know, safe. And you know, one of the things he did before he turned 21 is he worked for the Colorado Department of Revenue through marijuana and liquor enforcement. And he would go out and do underage buys at places that were selling to kids that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you see him.
Yeah, I was looking at the pictures.
I mean,
The one up there, that was the senior picture from high school, but he had the full beard.
Yeah.
Full beard.
He, you know, the impact that he had on those people up there, I've received a ton of emails from, you know, the staff up there and people, and, you know, going from the Humane Society planting a tree in his honor. You know, the kid just, words can't even describe,
Yeah.
you know, the soul the kid had. I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And like Leanne said, he'd give you his right arm, his shirt, whatever he needed to you know, to make somebody smile. And you can see on all the Facebook pictures and stuff, I mean, there's maybe 1 or 2 pictures where he's not smiling, but every other picture we have, that kid smiled.
Yeah.
And his smile is what,
Energetic. Yeah.
what brought people together.
Right.
Lit up a room. He just had this smile that just lit up a room.
Tell me about your brother. What's a really fun memory that you can tell me from him?
Well, once he went to college, him and I got really close, and you could tell we missed each other. And whenever he'd come home, we would go drive around in his truck, and I'd be like, Cody, you're home. We're not doing anything. Let's go drive around.
Yeah.
And we'd listen to music, we'd drive around, we'd go to his friend's house, just be like, hey, we're outside. I know it's 11 o'clock, but we're outside your house. Come outside. And his friends never got tired of us because we kept going over to their houses. And then I'm actually getting his truck now that I'm getting my permit in a couple weeks.
Nice.
So
Awesome.
I'm going to keep his truck. And
Keep that tradition going.
Yep.
Knock on people's homes at 11 at
I've
night.
already done that. I went over to his best friend's house with one
Yeah.
of my friends because I'm like, Kaylee, let's go drive around. And then my best friend and I, her name's Maya, we actually were trying to reach the Colorado Rockies.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a bunch of like stuff. We posted on their pages. We messaged a couple of his favorite players. And we actually got 2 letters. One from the Monford family and one from Charlie Blackman.
Oh, wow.
Cody's favorite
That was
player.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because Charlie's
Wow.
got the beard and the long mullet. And,
Yep.
He could be his twin.
Yeah. That's so cool. Those are good memories. I mean, yeah, it's cool getting to like know him even more rather than just hearing everything else that happened. I think that's what's most important is to, you know, remember Cody for like those great moments, you know, like going to people's houses. What was your favorite music that you and him listened to? What did he go to?
We do like rap, NF.
Oh, okay, NF, yeah. Positive
favorite.
rap singer. Yeah, I know who he is.
Favorite. And then sometimes we do country. We had a couple songs that we would listen to. It'd be like, Cody, play our song. He's like, which one?
Yeah. You heard it, NF. Johnny Hauser, we got to get NF on so we can talk to him.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Johnny, you listen to his music too, have you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, like all of us, we're in different states right now, but we were talking about this. My cousin Caitlin actually came down with coronavirus, but she's a nurse at the hospital, and she pulled through, but she lost her sense of taste for just a little bit. That's like a crazy thing that's happening with people.
You have, not only do you not have an appetite with it, the thought of food is just unappealing. We never got like the hunger pangs.
Yeah.
When we were really, really sick with it, I was surviving on maybe a piece of fruit and a cup of Jell-O.
Wow.
And that was making yourself be like, I have to get something in. So it was, we were doing a lot of oranges because we heard that the vitamin C was really good.
Up your immune system, yeah.
To just, boost the immune system. So we were doing a lot of oranges and Jell-O because you just didn't feel like eating.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy how it's affecting people. It's really interesting. So let's talk about what happened leading up to Cody being taken out of the house. The medics had to come here. So he already had coronavirus. It was how long till they came to the house to get him?
Well, the day that I went in the ambulance.
That was a Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cody was going to go at that time because he still wasn't feeling good and all that. But the paramedics talked to him, and the thought was, and I found this when I was at the hospital because they released me that night, is that even though my oxygen was at 83, they were only keeping people that if your oxygen level was 70 or below.
Yep.
And that with Cody's size, age, and all that they probably wouldn't have kept him, which, as we saw with me, they didn't. So then it was a few days later, the following Monday, that it was in the middle of the night. Cody had a horrible time sleeping since he'd been back, and even while he was at college. And so he talked to a doctor and kind of went over some stuff, and they prescribed him a sleeping med. Well, he woke up in the middle of the night because I was sleeping down here, and he'd come downstairs, and he'd gotten himself ready, and he tells me, Dad, he says, I'm going back to school. They're having a bonfire on the football field.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I knew the football field had a turf field, and I knew that it was 2 a.m. and that there was a 4-hour drive and there was no bonfire.
Well, not to mention it was spring break and the school had closed down for at least 2 weeks.
So I had thought that it was from the sleeping pill, that maybe he's having some dreams or something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no. And he was very adamant that he was going to go. And I'm like, no, you're not going anywhere. And I took his keys, and I'm like, you're going to go back up and you're going to go to bed. And so then it was the next morning, he gets up and he has to take a test for school.
Yeah.
I'd still like to know what that test looked like. But and then he went back to bed, and he'd slept
It was
like
about
2.
2 or 2:30 because I said to Sierra.
Yeah, and my mom told me, Sierra, go get your brother up. And I'm all like, I tried. But an hour before, when I was still asleep, because I wasn't sleeping good, because they weren't sleeping good, I could hear them up at night. And I just couldn't fall asleep because I was worried about them. And I heard my brother start screaming. And he was just talking to himself, but he would scream whatever he was saying. I don't really remember what he was saying, but it didn't make sense. So I got up. I'm like, Dad, Cody won't get out of his bed. He came up, and then
we got him up and got him down here. I think he got some water and stuff, and we started checking on him. And it was at that point, maybe an hour or so later, I had messaged his doctor, our family doctor, and told what was going on. And she's like, "Well, you should go to the hospital." So knowing that neither one of us should be driving and be out, and knowing that I had the virus, I didn't want to take him. So we called the ambulance back. They wouldn't come into your house. They would meet you outside in their hazmat suits and all that stuff. And so they took him to the hospital.
He literally walked out. He walked out to the ambulance and got into the ambulance.
But the thing that concerned them and me was when he actually walked out of his room, when my dad finally got him up, is he didn't know what day it was. My dad was asking him questions and he couldn't answer. He had an altered mental state. And I'm like, that's not my brother.
Which is one of the new symptoms they're seeing with some people, is that they're having an altered mental state.
Yeah.
So.
But at the time, it wasn't a symptom.
No, not at the time.
So at the time, that was not one of the symptoms they were telling you to look for. But also that day, he had spiked a higher fever.
Okay.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was up to 104 that
He was
day.
up to like 104, 105 that day also. But as a kid, Cody would always run high fevers. I mean, literally, 104, 105 was pretty common for him.
Yeah.
There was one time when he was little, he actually hit 107.
Wow.
And we took him then to the emergency room. It was not uncommon for
Yeah.
him to run 104, 105 temperatures. But it didn't matter the Tylenol, because they told us to not take ibuprofen.
Right.
So, but the Tylenol was not helping at all to lower his fever. And we could not ever get his fever to break completely.
So that's why the Megs came, took him
Yeah.
in. So what happened when they took him to the hospital then?
Well, we
What?
kind of had a gap. We found out a few hours later that he was taken to the ICU and was on a ventilator. But we always wanted to know. We were finally able, through the CEO over at the hospital, who's Dr. Phil's been phenomenal. He was able to track down the medical records, and based on Cody's oxygen saturation at the time, which was 70, and his heart rate was 146, they tried to get him on a rebreather mask. Well, that wasn't working. They had him up the highest, like 15 liters of oxygen.
On the rebreather.
And that wasn't working, so they finally had to intubate him and then put him on the ventilator. We found out that had he have not gotten to the hospital when he did, he probably would have collapsed and died in our living room.
Really?
At that
Wow.
time.
Well, they didn't say
So-
die. He would have had to have been
Well,
intubated
Yeah, here and
here.
who knows
But
what would
he
happen.
was basically put on the ventilator within probably an hour of getting to the hospital.
hospital.
Okay. And then you were talking about, what was the medicine they induced him with? They gave him...
So he was admitted to the hospital on Monday, and really he was not put on any kind of medication until the following Sunday.
Well, he had pneumonia too. That was the other
He
thing.
had bilateral pneumonia when he got into the hospital. He had bilateral pneumonia, and I think they had maybe started him on an antibiotic for the
for that.
pneumonia. But the following Sunday, the hydrochloroquine is what had been in the news a lot at the time, and they were thinking that it was good for coronavirus. So he got one dose on Sunday evening of the hydroxychloroquine. He actually ended up only having 3 doses of that. While all of this was going on, a trial also opened up at University of Colorado Hospital over by Kevin's campus, on Kevin's campus. And we had talked to the doctor that was in charge of that trial. Cody had been admitted to the trial, but they didn't have any ICU beds open at the University of Colorado. They had one opening the next day. That would have been
The day that he died.
he died Tuesday
The
night
8th.
into Wednesday.
Yeah.
So we had done all the paperwork, had talked to the doctors at Medical Center of Aurora where he was, and basically they were going to do lab work for him at 4 o'clock in the morning. We were going to all revisit at 8 o'clock in the morning to just make sure he would survive a transport, because that was another concern we had, is the 2 hospitals are only like 3 miles apart.
Yeah.
But there was a lot to consider with trying to move him hospitals in the condition he was in, because his kidneys had also started to fail. So his kidneys was basically failing all through Tuesday.
He'd gotten, like, the first part of the week he was doing really good at the hospital, and they actually talked about starting to wean him off the vent.
The
And
first
then,
week he was
yeah,
there.
the first week he was there, and then that's when he started getting more fluid built up in his lungs. So they stopped the IV fluids, and it's kind of cause and effect. But when they stopped that, his blood pressure
Took a dive.
took a serious dive. His kidneys started having the issues, so then they had to start him back on other fluids, and they had the renal doc and stuff come down, and the nephrologist. And we're talking about dialysis, but his numbers weren't high enough, although through the day they had spiked
They
high enough to
spiked.
where the night before he passed was when they were going to start him on an emergency dialysis, and they put in a central line at that point. And then it was not too long after the central line went in that, for whatever reason, and 2 days prior to to his passing, they had done an echo on his heart, and his heart was the strongest part of his body. I mean, again, we've been told by multiple doctors that he's a healthy 21-year-old, doesn't have any issues, no underlying problems, that, we're seeing people on vents for 2 to 3 weeks, and, with his kidney issue, he may be on dialysis for 6 weeks, but we'll get him through. Even the doctor at university, and they felt over there that they had, better access to meds and stuff to where our local hospital here didn't, because they're a research facility and, being the university and stuff, that they felt that they could get him through. And then for whatever reason, and they're seeing that with, we've heard stories from friends that we have that are ICU nurses and through talking with doctors and stuff, that his heart just stopped. And they don't know why the virus is doing this to people that, their heart is perfectly healthy, and then for whatever reason the heart just stops.
Do you think it was something from the medicine that he was given, from that one medicine that
The
he was...
hydrochloroquine. I mean, now subsequently, after the fact, they have said that is a potential side effect of the hydrochloroquine.
When they're giving it to them, when they're already like deep into having this virus.
Yes.
Not in the beginning, but I think it's when it's like already like high fever and all these other symptoms that he's having. I mean, it's probably affected blood clots or something like that. I'm no doctor, but I'm just doing my own research and looking at it.
In the hospital, somebody over there had a tie, whether it's the ICU nurses or the doctors, they all had some sort of tie through friends or family to Cody. And when he passed, we'd heard of ICU nurses called in sick. The CEO had to go console the doctors because they don't understand, why a healthy 21-year-old passed. And, I've heard this on my campus from, the powers that be over there that were trying to get him moved to university, as well as from the CEO of the Medical Center of Aurora, that, they're having to go back to the Stone Ages to figure out stuff because they don't understand why the virus will affect you one way, affect her one way, affect me different, and then it's morphing and doing different things that, they don't understand why it does that. And why, and I don't think, going back to your question, that the meds, because they did an independent autopsy. They asked us if we could do that because they were so upset. And they wanted to know why his heart stopped. And there was no blood clots. The heart was not damaged
The heart
at
was
all.
not damaged.
Okay.
at all.
It just flat out stopped. And they say that's, something they've seen, with these patients is that their heart, for whatever reason, the virus does something, and it just, it'll affect the brain, the lungs, the kidneys, just about everything.
Well, and at the time, I mean, the doctors were very honest with us that there was so much that they did not know about this virus.
Yeah.
They were kind of learning as they went along.
I mean, they literally told us that when you came into the hospital, because of what they know about it, that you had a 50-50 chance when you walk in the door in the emergency room with coronavirus of whether you're going to live or die. And that's how blunt they put it.
It's crazy.
That they just do not understand enough about this virus.
Yeah, and I mean, it's still happening, right? And the thing is now I see it's morphing and affecting. There's a different strand now it's suddenly affecting children, and they're getting rashes, and it's affecting their heart and stuff like that now.
Right?
Well,
I'm just seeing what I see on the news. I don't know what to believe and what not to believe half the time.
It's just not children,
Yeah.
We're dealing with her mother's kind of had some health issues and was in a rehab facility and had some other problems and wound up back in the hospital, and they diagnosed her with pneumonia, which she is asymptomatic, no symptoms of that,
She had no symptoms
and the
at all.
coronavirus. But then they started seeing these sores that they're seeing in kids on her feet, and she's in her 80s.
Oh, all right.
And so, she didn't have, other than being a severe diabetic, she didn't have any issues. But when you talk about the sores, and it's just not the kids, apparently they're seeing it on older people too. So,
Do you think it has something to do with the immune system, like different people's immune system, if it's lower, or, I mean, it's attacking several different places. I mean,
I don't know.
I mean, because Cody's immune system was fine.
was it?
good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had no underlying health issues at
The
all.
only thing he had is high blood pressure, which is a family trait. I've had it since I was 18.
Well, but that was controlled because he was
Yeah.
on medication.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only thing is, taking information of what we know and passing on, maybe it will help somebody who's out there with the similar symptoms or going through the same thing. I guess it's just learning and trying to communicate all this stuff and learning for what, you know, Cody went through and stuff and what your whole family went through.
Yeah.
Man, you know, I love hearing the stories about Cody, what he did for people and the people he affected, and, you know, the great memories.
You know, the one thing we did not say about him was Cody, he was all about family. And we have heard it from my mom, your sister, your mom. Cody never let a conversation go without saying, I love you.
Yeah.
You know, he would leave the house, love you, Mom. Or when he would text you, he always said, I love you. And he was so about his friends and his family. Yeah. I mean, holidays would come, and if I would even suggest, we were all about traditions. It's, you know, traditions have been, I grew up with traditions. We continued a lot of those traditions, brought over some of the traditions Kevin's family had. And if you even suggested changing one of those traditions or not doing one of those traditions, he would just not even have it. His place up in Grand Junction, he actually got a small apartment while he was up there this year, with it being his junior year of college. And he decorated it for Christmas. Even though he wasn't going to be there for Christmas because he was coming home. But he actually, you know, after he came home for Thanksgiving, we did some shopping. He's like, I want a tree, and, you know, I want to decorate for Christmas. And so we got all of the stuff that he wanted so he could decorate his little place for Christmas. Yeah. You know, and then he had some friends come over and help him decorate once he got back. I mean, he just, like I said earlier, he loved life. Yeah. And although he only had 21 short years here, he did so much in those 21 years.
More than a lot of 21-year-olds do.
Yeah, and that's what we have to remember, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate, like, the circumstances, but like I said, you know, everybody's journey is different. That was his journey, and he affected, you know, it's affecting millions of people at this point. Like, it's moving past the family, past the certain people that he's met. Yeah. It's going beyond that now.
Well, and even go back to the virus, you know, I've heard from people in New Zealand that have seen his story either through the People magazine article or, you know, the other stuff online about him, that, you know, they've said that it's saved their kids because they've been able to share, you know, what happened to a perfectly healthy kid and what you need to do to be safe, to make sure that their kids stayed safe and alive. So, you know, his story is, we've said he has a very high pulpit right now, and he's using it, as he did down here, for the greater good, and to save, you know, he couldn't do what I do and save lives. And I could only, I don't know how to phrase this, the amount of lives that Cody has saved and is saving through his story, and through you guys here sharing his story, more than I will ever save in my career, and more than, you know, probably all the cops put together in the United States would be able to save. You know, hopefully his legacy will live on and serve that.
I think his legacy is going to outlive either one of ours.
Yeah.
I call him kind of at this point, like, first words that come to my head is he's almost like a spiritual warrior at this point. You know, he was in life, and now he is in beyond, and it's just like, it's interesting how, because we don't have all the answers of this vast world we live in. You know, we don't know when things are going to happen in the past, present, future, how everything kind of moves. You know, and it's just interesting spiritually how you look at things, and how, you know, these things happen, and then it ripple effects, and, you know, it's like a domino effect to other people.
When you talk the spiritual side, I mean, he had his cross, which you'll see, I think, in some of these pictures here. You know, he's got this one here,
there, and then.
Oh yeah,
you know, he always wore his cross. You know, he was very spiritual when it came to that. And actually, his cross is down with his urn downstairs, because we wanted to make sure that even though he's passed, that he has his cross with him, because that was very important to him.
Yeah.
So it'll be on him for eternity. The cross is sitting right on top of the urn.
Yeah. He's, man, like, the stories positive. Like, I I wish I could have rode around with you guys listening to NF and, talked some really cool, interesting topics. And he just seems like he's a really good person. And I think that's what we take from it. Cody is going to be remembered forever. I mean,
from his Twitter feed, we were going through his Twitter feed, he had a saying from The Sandlot. And we actually
I love The Sandlot.
Shirts.
Yeah.
And it is, heroes get remembered, but legends never die.
That's so true. Yeah. What was Cody's favorite part in Sandlot? Because I love that film, by the way. We're going to talk films, Josh. I bring it up in every episode that we talk about on the G Crew. It's always something about films.
I don't even remember.
I don't know. But
did you like it when they hit the ball over the fence and they're trying to get the ball back?
The
Babe Ruth?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And the big dog's trying to chase him.
And obviously the saying, it spoke to him.
Yeah. It's a great film. Super. And I look at Cody as, I forget the main actor in that. Josh, you remember the main actor, the one who went on to play Major League Baseball in the film?
I looked at Cody.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was. I don't remember the actor's name.
But it's the main guy in that. That's why I see Cody, because that guy would help. The little kid who moves into town there, and he begins the host of narrating baseball league games and stuff like that. I look at Cody as like that individual who's like helping people and making them a part of like the game, even though he's an outsider or whatever.
That's totally how he was.
So I could see him relating to The Sandlot. It's cool. That's a cool film. That's a good one. Speaking of spiritualism, so he wore the cross, obviously embedded in faith and his ideas, and Catholic, Christian, or
Lutheran.
Lutheran. All right, interesting. So what about, like, you were telling me some things that were happening after. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure.
Yeah.
So Cody, when he was alive, would always open my door and leave it open, because what siblings don't do that? And I'd be like, because I have a loft bed too, so I'm like, Cody, I don't want to get off my bed, close my door. He'd just walk away. So a couple days after he passed, my door swung open, no windows were open, and then it didn't close. So I had to get off my bed, and it happened 3 times.
Oh, wow. It would, like, continuously
and I
happen?
told my mom, and she's all like, your brother said he's going to haunt you, because we did this thing with a psychic medium. Her name is Deb Shepherd.
From Colorado here?
Yeah.
She lives in Colorado.
Yeah, very well.
And she said, Cody said he's going to haunt us. He's not watching over us. He's going to haunt us.
Well, that was an inside joke because we were watching Ghost Adventures or something.
Yep.
And he made a comment, and I said to him, I said, you better be careful or I'm going to haunt you after I'm gone.
Yeah.
So through this psychic, and the funny thing was when she would relay messages, she would relay them using his words and his phrases. I mean, she'd speak it, and it was just like, oh my gosh, that's Cody.
Yeah.
So I had made the comment. She was asking us, what did we get out of the session? And I was like, it's just comforting to know that he is with us and he's watching over us. And she says, oh, he's chuckling. He's chuckling right now. And she says, he says to tell you, I'm not watching over you. I'm haunting you.
Oh, wow. So it's like the inside joke.
Inside joke.
How would she know that, right?
Right? I was just like, oh my gosh.
For me, it was funny because Cody always told me, I'm not allowed to have a boyfriend. So he'd say, no boys. And then she's all like, your brother's talking about boys. And then she's all like, he says, no boys, Sierra.
Oh, wow.
Oh, in the truck.
Oh, yeah.
The very first thing that he even said in the session.
You better take care of my truck.
You better take care of my truck. Because we had decided to give her.
He was able to pick up, you talk about the spiritual side, and in the cross he wears in his truck hanging from his rearview mirror.
He has a cross.
There's if you look at it one way, it's a cross, and the other way, it's the fish.
Yep.
And she was able to describe that to us, that, that was hanging from there, and, what it meant to Cody and his spiritual side and stuff. And
wow. So it was a strong connection she had to give you insight, I guess, on these things that were more only you would know.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And when she started coughing and saying like she was having a hard time breathing, those were some of Cody's symptoms when he had the COVID.
Yeah.
When he first
so we
came
were all
across.
thinking, we're all like, Cody's here.
Yeah.
Because the way that she does things is really interesting because when you first start the session, she doesn't want you feeding her information.
Yeah, definitely.
She's just like, let me just give you guys the messages that I'm getting through from your loved ones, and then there will be an opportunity to ask questions later. So like the first half an hour, she was just telling us, you know, oh, I'm getting this. And we'd be like, yeah, that's this. You know, the cross had come over. Even the cross that he wears around his neck.
Well, you talk about, you know, she talks about weird things. And I'm a skeptic. I always have been. You see a picture here. That's my mother. She died when I was 3. And I've always said that if ghosts were real and spirits were real, she would have reached out to me a long time ago.
Yeah.
And that's just the way I've been. Well, through these things, one night we were having kind of a rough day, and I'd been upstairs on Facebook and thumbing through, and come to the Fanatics page, to the ads. And,
Yeah.
you know, we're diehard Rockies fans, but before I was a Rockies fan, I was a Cubs fan, which explains the shirt I'm wearing right now. And just thumbing through, and I'm like, what do I not need to order? And I closed my eyes, and I said, Cody, I said, tell me, give me a sign here. And it's kind of like a slot machine. And
Yeah.
I closed my eyes, and I just swiped to the left and just let it go. And actually, they didn't have this shirt, and I actually just found I had it and ordered it. But it stopped on the number 1 dad. Because the one thing I struggled through this was being, and the psychics have said don't blame yourself, but being the one that was the first positive is, you know, and everybody plays the what ifs, but, you know, did I get this, give it to my kid, and did I kill my kid? Which has been hard. And, you know, stopping on the number 1 dad t-shirt was kind of my answer that, no, you know, you didn't do that. But
Well, and not
you know,
only
just
that,
his
but-
way of saying, you know, I love you.
Yeah.
The psychic, my dad actually asked her when we got to the question part, he's like, I've been feeling guilty, so he asked her. And she's all like, your son says things happen.
Right.
Things happen.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, just like nonchalantly, just things happen.
And that's what I was trying to explain at the beginning. Yeah, you can't blame yourself, because I think, like, you know, it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. We're all set on our own journeys. You know, you became sergeant. This is what you do. You know, you became an amazing mother, and everything else you accomplish in your life. And look, you've helped them. You're an incredible daughter, sister. And I think it's like everyone's destined for something. You know, we're all destined for something. I never thought I'd be doing what I'm doing. Never thought I'd meet you. I really didn't. Like, I almost died when I was 8 years old. I ripped open my arm on a cyclone fence, and I almost died. My mom saved my life. So it's like, you never know which direction, and if you're gonna skate and go to that other side really quick, come back because it's not your time, or it's your time because you've affected, there's something bigger happening. And that's what I take away from Cody. There's something bigger happening, something more spiritual that we can't necessarily comprehend everything. We don't have all the answers, but these things happen. Like, you're looking for something subconsciously, consciously, however you want to break it down, from a logical sense to a scientific sense to, I have no answers. This is how the world we live in works. I mean, I've experienced a lot of weird things, and I'm a very logical thinker. I don't know. None of us has the right answers, and none of us truly knows what happens when you pass away, but we know something happens regardless.
Yeah.
And it's happening, right? It's happening.
Well, and he flickers lights. The one thing that, because we'd been having, when my dad passed away, I have a fixture in our bedroom that has 4 different light fixtures in it. It's a ceiling fan with 4 lights. And when my dad passed away, he'd affect just one.
Okay.
Like, one would like flicker a little bit, and then it'd go out completely, and then it'd come back on. With Cody, it's just lights. It's just, like, in that fixture, he'll flicker all of them.
And
Just
I
all
was
throughout
with,
the house.
Really? Yeah, I was going to ask you, so did this start happening, how long after he passed away did this start happening, where you're noticing things in the house or around
there was
you?
another thing actually out of the
days.
house.
Yeah.
I was with one of his best friends, Kaylee, and I was on my phone. And Cody's 3 baseball jerseys were 40, number 17, and 13. And I realized my phone was at 40%, and it just shut off. Then it turned back on, and it was at 17%. turned back off. And at 13, it shut off for the rest of the night.
It was like draining the battery.
It didn't hit any other numbers but those 3 numbers for that whole night.
Yeah, numbers are a big thing. I notice in paranormal phenomena. What about what other weird things happened that you started to pick up on?
Well, at first, I was upset
Yeah.
because I felt like I wasn't getting signals.
Right.
I was like, because he believed in all of that stuff. I believed. He was the skeptic. She believed. But I was like, why are you not sending me, some signs?
Yeah.
Why are you not sending me signs? And one night, he was at work. I had a total, I'm mad, I'm angry, I'm screaming at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I woke her up.
She's calling me at work.
I called you.
The very next night, and this is the strangest thing because there's a different medium that's also here in Colorado. He posts on this Facebook page.
Yeah.
And he does these things that he calls ghost walks.
Spirit walks.
Spirit walks. Yep.
Spirit walks. And he had posted about a spirit he had come into contact with the night that
3.
I had my breakdown.
3 spirits.
There were 3 big.
One of which-
The second one that came across, he's writing about all of this. And a friend, a wife.
Well, somebody had saw the People magazine article and commented that, and somebody we don't even know, that this may be Cody. Well, a friend of mine who's since retired as a police officer,
His
and
wife.
they've moved away. His wife saw this, and then shared it with another police officer that works at another place here, which got a hold of me and said, "Well, are you interested? It's kind of dark." And
Yeah, do you want to see
I
this?
said, "Okay, just send it to me." My first thought was, "Oh, it's some idiot commenting about
Yeah.
the coronavirus and
Yeah.
my son's name's on it, whatever." Well, then it turns out to be this medium, and
But when we first saw his message from the Spirit Walk, it had not tagged that People magazine article. That was later.
oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so as we're reading through the message, we were just, it talked about, I just want to be with my parents and my friends.
My
And
parents were, or my family was sick when I left, which when he left in the ambulance, we were still
we were
sick.
still sick with coronavirus.
That's what
But
his last
he was
memory.
saying to this gentleman, I've tried to touch them. I've tried to give them signs, but they're not picking up on it. Like he sounded really frustrated, but but through the message, we were all like, that is Cody.
I was the first one who, there was a part where he's like, I don't understand how this is happening to me.
Yeah, how did
And
this happen to me?
That upset all 3 of us because it's like, we don't know how this happened to him. And that kind of gave us a tone that he wasn't at peace. But then when we actually got in touch with the guy who wrote the article, he told us, I didn't mean to imply that he wasn't at peace because he's at peace.
But he's with us until he knows we're okay.
Yeah. And that makes sense. Yeah.
And then after that, I think is when we decided I want to get in touch with that Deb Shepherd, rather than just having a very quick message come across a Facebook post.
Yeah.
I wanted something more in depth.
logical.
Right.
And so we got in touch with her to do the session with her. And through her, she says he is at peace. Although interestingly, and we still don't really quite understand what this meant, he hadn't met God yet.
That's what he said.
Is what she said. So we're kind of like, so did he cross? So we, that was
Well,
something. Kind
yeah,
of odd.
I've had that. So I've communicated with like several different locations, and sometimes with like equipment and stuff like that, I'll get things coming through, voices coming through that says, I'll ask those questions. Is there heaven? Is there not? Like I'll ask all sorts of questions, and they're like, we come and go as we please. Like we'll come from somewhere else. It's all, you got to look at things too as like past, present, and future, right? Like we're living in the present time. Things are still occurring in other realities in the past time. When you start bending time together, and you look at like the conscious thoughts left around, the energy left around, his spiritual being that's now this electrifying entity that is probably like communicating in other forms right now.
Right.
So I think that like, maybe time doesn't work how it works for us as we grow old in these bodies.
Right.
I think time kind of stands still wherever he is in that plane, in that other realm.
Yeah.
And maybe he's able to communicate in the ways that only this world knows how to connect like the two things together. I'm not sure how it all works.
Yeah.
Just based off of experience and things that have happened and talking to tons of people, I think it affects. Did you want to grab it or?
No, we
Alright.
get so many just solicitations and
Yeah,
yeah, just hit answer it and then click off.
Okay.
Oh, it's your mom, Dad.
Oh,
Good. Weird timing.
It's fine. We'll call it later.
Kitty.
But we have the feeling now after talking with Deb Shepherd that he is at peace. And we're trying to become more in tune with the signs that he is sending.
Yeah.
She said he'll appear as a dragonfly. Interestingly,
Oh,
she
cool.
said it's not going to be like a butterfly. She said
Yeah.
he'll appear as a dragonfly.
Someone told me once my grandmother appears as a hummingbird, and we have this hummingbird that comes around every year. Doesn't matter where we go, where we move to, it just appears at the window of the kitchen
Yeah.
every time of the same time of the year. It's really weird. Yeah, it's very interesting. What's up, buddy? Probably like, what is that on your face?
Right?
I know. Yeah, I mean, I think the bottom line is like, I think he's at peace if you look at it in the way of he just wants to make sure everyone's happy. You know, just like he was when he was living, like walking over if you were crying, Mom, are you okay? Dad, are you all right today? You know, something that affected you at work or whatever. And it's just like, it's the connection that we'll always have with loved ones or people that you're bonded to, your best friend, your brother, you know, your son.
Yeah.
It's those connections that will never go away. That will never die.
Yeah.
You know, that will always be with you. And I think that's the struggle is like, you want the signs, but you want them so bad. You can't let your brain, you know, mess with you like that. The brain, it likes to throw us in these crazy, you know, vacuums.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've done it. I've gone down the depression. I've gone down the goods and the bads and whatever. You kind of have to balance your life, and you still have to live.
Yeah.
You have so much more to do in your life. And I think that's maybe what he wants, you know? Maybe he just wants you to be happy and live, and it's okay. And he wants this. He wants all this grand, you know, this
Yeah.
big thing to happen,
Yeah.
just like he would. Josh, Johnny, how is it in Iowa right now, Josh? Anybody close to you affected or anything like that?
Personally, I know 6 people that do currently have it or have just now recovered from it. The numbers are continually going up. It does seem that we are hopefully starting to kind of level off here a little bit. But I guess we'll know so much more, I'm sure, in just a couple weeks. But it's been interesting, you know. It's a scary time, regardless. So
Yeah. What about you, Johnny?
There's 1 or 2 people in the town that I live in that were tested positive, and I think that they've recovered from it now. What kind of worries me is the governor of Iowa is now opening everything, like restaurants and all that stuff's open, and it's just like,
yeah,
is this going to make things worse? Like, why are we, you know, which I understand businesses have to survive, but we don't need to go into restaurants and eat. And people are just taking that as a sign of, oh, it's done. We can do
everything's
whatever.
okay, right?
You know, we had a graduation over the weekend, and like there was no social distancing happening whatsoever.
I'm telling you, man, it's different over here. It really is. Like Johnny said, and like the governor says, oh yeah, we're going to start to open everything up, and kind of the mentality over here, I guess, is people are like, oh, cool, it must be A-okay, green light, everything's go. And that's what scares me, you know?
Yeah, but that's the hard part, right? Because I don't know what your beliefs are on everything. Like, what do you think should happen? I know I hear all the politicians and all that stuff, but forget all that for a
It's
second.
like everything down here is closed right now. I mean, you can go and you can do the takeout or delivery, that kind of stuff. But like when we went to pack up Cody's place up in Grand Junction, because their cases were so few, you know, they were given an exemption in Mesa County and allowed to open everything pretty much back up. So it was a little weird going into restaurants. You know, I fear that if we open everything back up and we do it too soon, we're going to be right back where we were just a few weeks ago.
And then, you know, are they going to shut everything down again? I think it's better to do things more slowly and make sure that once we do open up, we're not going to have an explosion of this again.
And I've been having bad anxiety about being around like lots of people. So in 2 weeks, I have a softball tournament in Oklahoma we're going to, and
because Oklahoma
coach
has opened for.
My coach is gonna be all like, Sierra, if this is too much for you, because Cody and I shared that connection.
Yeah.
Softball and baseball. So I'm gonna go, but I get really anxious around people.
Yeah, I think we're concerned too. You know, I mean, do we go or do we not go? But it's the safety factor of, you know, making sure that they have the appropriate things put in place, you know, for, you know, and I know they want to open up youth sports here and kind of begin to get things back, but making sure that, you know, we do this right. I mean, I know the girls will be wearing masks. There'll only be 2 people in the dugout. They're going to move the umpire out in the field and, you know, just kind of change some things to where kids aren't on top of each other and stuff. But they're still, you know, to this day, I don't know how I caught it. I think I caught it grocery shopping, to be honest with you. And because nobody in my department was sick, nobody's had this, you know, nobody that we know of. I was really the first one at the university out here that had this.
Well, and unfortunately, there are people out there that we even saw this weekend in Grand Junction that are not doing the social distancing.
Yeah.
They're not wearing the masks. They're not staying the 6 feet apart like they're being asked to do. You know, so there are just people out there that are going to be like, it's not a big deal, and
When it really is.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it was for you. Yeah, it impacted your life and your family and stuff. And I think that's the hard part is everyone, it's tough, right? Because everybody has like this divided viewpoint. You know, you have everything you see in the media, which I don't know what to believe anymore.
right.
Then you have families like yourself that have been affected, and you know, your viewpoints are what they are because you went through it.
Yeah.
I didn't go through it personally with my family. I mean, we haven't, Josh, Johnny, but it's like, you know, we'll be so quick to be like, all right, let's go. But until you're affected, I think, until you experience something like that, you just really don't know how you're going to react in a sense. So, and it's tough too because then you got thousands of businesses out of business forever.
Yeah.
Forever. I mean, they're financially are devastated. Families are being torn apart. I mean, it's just like a brutal thing that's occurring.
Yeah.
You know, it's really sad. So, but it's like, and then we can't be locked up forever.
No, you can't.
We have to socialize. We have to get out. We have to, you know, financially stay afloat, and we can't be. It's tough. We should be scared, but we shouldn't be scared, right?
Right.
We have to be warriors. We have to, you know, destroy this virus and up our immune systems and whatever we have to do. But it's just like it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard
It's like you go into a restaurant and they tell you here, and I'm sure it's the same elsewhere, when you walk in the door, you wear your mask. Once you're at your table, you can take it off.
That's
Why
how
in the
it was in
world are
Grand
you
Junction.
doing that?
Yeah, it doesn't make
You're
sense.
sharing the same air that's being circulated throughout the restaurant.
Yeah.
So what's it going to do for me walking from the door to my table to wear a mask?
Or
Not
even
no.
going running. I went for a 4-mile run in Colorado the other day, and I'm running, and I see a guy riding his bike. Everyone was wearing masks and running on trailers and stuff. We're outside, we're running. I get it, but like, I wasn't wearing a mask. I was running. I was like away from people just
And you're
running.
by yourself.
Yeah. But what was interesting is I see a guy riding a bike. He's wearing a mask, and then the little girl who's like 3 years old, 4 years old, in the seat
Doesn't
behind
have one?
doesn't have, just
I see
mess
that when I
around.
go to the grocery store.
I don't get the I don't get the, you know, the philosophy behind that one. But it's interesting how I think it's almost like at this point it's a mental thing with people, because when I was running, I'm running by people, you know, running where they're like from that door over there, and I'm here. They see me coming. I don't have a mask, but they're way over there, and they have the mask, and they like run off to the side. It's like the anxiety thing. Like it's messing with our brains now in this world. Like people are like so scared of everything now.
Yeah.
And it can't be like that.
No.
Like we're living in the 20th century here. We're not living in like the Black Plague era, you know, even though it's vicious like it, but
Right.
it's like, man, yeah, I mean, I want nothing but the best for like everybody. Everybody's been affected, everybody that is going through it, and you know, the families, the loved ones, everybody. But I think the most important thing to take away from this is Cody, his message. He was loved in the living, loved in the afterlife, loved right now. He's ripple affected all of us in some mysterious way, which is really interesting to me personally. And I've learned so much. Like, I don't know, my journey has been interesting to meet different people, just like you have, and I think it's just information and communication at the end of the day, you know? It's part of living. And is there anything else that you want to talk about Cody, or is there anything else you'd like to say, or any other weird things that you can tell me that have been happening? Because you know that fascinates me.
Not really, other than like music. I'll be with my friends and we'll be just skipping through stations, and then one of his favorite songs will come on.
Yeah.
Or we've had it happen a couple times when you and I were going to go take a drive. Like, he's been working because he works nights, and her and I will be like, let's just get out of the house. We
Yeah,
need
I
to
don't
just
like
get
being
out
home
of these
anymore.
4 walls right now. And when we start the car, like the other night, Post Malone.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The only reason I even have listened to Post Malone was because of Cody.
Yeah.
You know, so we start the car and it's a Post Malone song.
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter. I'll reach out to him, and we'll have to get posts to say what's up to you.
Oh my
Yay.
God. Yes.
Cody would be so happy.
That and
Yeah.
Panic at the Disco. That
Brendan
was
Urie
another.
is
Brendan
my-
Urie.
Uh,
Well, the 3 of us, Cody, Sierra, and I, when Panic played here, we actually got tickets.
Oh, okay.
And
Floor
we were
seats.
on the
Yeah.
floor, down, literally she was 2 people away from Brendan Urie
'cause
as
was
he
walking
did the
down
death
our
walk.
aisle.
That's
She
awesome.
was just like, I have video of her being like, oh my God, Mommy's right there.
Cannot wait to.
That's
But
so cool.
Cody, Panic was another one that I would not have even have probably heard of.
Yeah.
Had it not been.
But
for-
that's cool. You're right there, just having fun. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So he does a lot with music and electronics, draining cell phone batteries and
Does it
flickering
to
lights.
me all the
and-
time.
You ever? I mean, it's still recent. I mean, there might be months that go by, and then stuff becomes quiet, and then all of a sudden, you'll hear things or like weird things will happen. But I mean, again, it's like, you know, someone once asked me, "Does your grandmother ever come back and?" I was really close to my grandmother. Does she ever come back and communicate with you? I go, well, I hope not. I want my grandmother to move on and go to a better
Right.
place. You know what I
Right.
mean? And I think sometimes I'll get the feelings, like the goosebumps, but I'll be thinking about it. And I'll be like, grandmother, you know, I really need you in my life right now. Please, you know, look after me. Please help me right now. And you just feel that spiritualism or that connection, you know, that you can never break. And I think that's a part of it, is like this energy and whatnot can come and go,
Yeah.
you know, in the most important parts of your life, or when you least expect it, you might not know. I mean, he's always going to be looking after you, I feel.
Oh yeah.
I really appreciate you opening up and obviously allowing me to come in your house and talking with us and sharing the story about Cody. And I can't thank you enough. I mean,
Thank you.
I feel like this is going to help a lot of people. And not even people that are affected. I think people that are affected from small businesses, being stuck at home, like going through depression, or life in general, or people that have been affected by the COVID. And I think that's really what it's all about, is just sharing stories and us coming together as human beings. I don't think there's enough of that.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially right now.
especially right now. I mean, like, look, it's not like, hey, you're over here with this virus and let's fight these humans over here. It's like we should all be coming together in this part of this world, no matter who you are. It doesn't matter. It's like, come together and let's make an impact for the better. And that's what Cody's doing right now.
Yeah,
Yep.
we hope so.
I true heartedly believe it. I don't know. I feel like he's definitely here. All right. Well, thank you. Do you want to show me his room or anything cool like that, or?
His room's a mess, but if you want to see it, sure.
Yeah.
No, I just want to thank you guys very much for your time, and obviously our heartfelt condolences go out to you as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. You ask a question.
Cody, are you here?
Did I say no?
Did it say no?
Said no. You'll hear multiple voices come through.
Grandpa, are you here?
Is there somebody else?
There he comes. Yeah. Cody, can you tell us what music you like? What's your favorite music?
NF.
NF.
And that sounded like him.
Did you hear that?
It was a woman's voice, yeah.
Cody, does our brother have a name?
Well, honey, we never named him because we
That's
didn't know it was a him.
Until now.
My brother, though?
That's what I heard.
Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
Is there any message you want to give to your family, Cody? Cody, do you know who I am? Who is this right here? Yeah, mom? Is that what it said?
I kind of thought that's what it
It was
said.
like, yeah, mom.
Yeah, mom.
How did he usually talk? Did he talk like that? Or like,
Yeah, he sometimes would. Yeah, mom.
Like, yeah, Mom.
oh,
Yeah,
really?
mom.
Well, that's what he just said. Well, that's
Yeah,
what
Mom.
was just said.
Should I ask about Alex? I want to see what his opinion is. Cody, how do you feel about Alex and me hanging out a lot?
He is something unusual or
That's
something.
what I thought he said.
He is unusual.
Well, he wears tutus.
Oh, really? Well,
Cody, Maya, and Jared say hi. Maya says hi.
is there, Cody? You're the reason I'm here today. Is there anything you want to tell your family?
Sleep? He told all of us please
Oh, really?
at one point, yeah.
He told us through Deb Shepherd we needed to sleep.
Sleep more.
We haven't
yeah.
been getting much sleep.
Yeah, so he wants you to take care of himself, take care of yourself, rest
Yeah.
more, sleep. I mean, what would you say to that?
But it's
We'll try.
hard.
Yeah, we'll try.
It's hard, but we'll try. Anything you want to say to Jared? For his birthday?
Which is your favorite Lego up here?
Oh yeah, what's your favorite Lego?
What about your favorite movie?
Oh gosh, he had so many.
Is it Star Wars? Because I see a lot of Star Wars.
Yes.
You saw the movie collections. Most of those boxes in the store, we could open a blockbuster.
Star Wars.
I'm
Did you hear
I'm a
Star
huge
Wars?
movie
Did you
collector.
hear Star Wars? Because I heard Star Wars. When Deb was talking to Cody, she kept laughing. She was like, he's hilarious.
Yeah.
Cody, how do you feel about Charlie Blackman reaching out to us? Because that was your little sister's idea. But when he said NF, I'm like, that's his voice.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
That was totally cool.
That was really cool.
Cody. Hang on, let me see if I
Is there anything that you want to ask him?
Yeah. Or you?
You can ask, or in general.
I don't know. Let's see.
Is there anybody else here?
Is there anybody else here with us right now that you can see?
What was we were talking about yesterday? I was wondering what his favorite Panic at the Disco song was.
Oh yeah, what's your favorite Panic at the Disco song? Mom and I are having a debate.
You got NS again.
Yeah. I'm not talking about NF.
I know what your favorite NF song is.
I think he said more that Break for the Wicked was, he felt was better than some of his older stuff.
Do you like High Hopes better or Dying in LA? That's what Mom and I are saying.
That sounded like High Hope.
That
Yeah,
sounded
that's what I
like High
thought.
Hopes.
Did it sound like High Hopes?
I would.
I was like,
So our debate's settled.
Although the song I had them add to your slideshow for your memorial service was gospel.
Can you hear laughter on
Yeah, that was laughter right there.
That's kind of what I was thinking. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it happens.
Would have laughed at that.
Cody laughs at me a lot.
Yeah, I've heard a ton of laughter coming to you. I just don't want to say anything.
And that's actually what Judge Shepherd said. She's like,
Yeah.
he is just, she says he's laughing a lot.
Yeah.
Cody, tell Mom she should get a tattoo.
We're not going back to that.
We're going back to that. Or Cody, what about my horse? Tell Mom again she should give me a horse.
Mother.
Mother. He used to, that exact, mother,
Yeah.
mother.
See, he's
And I
not
think there was like a
my
soft voice in there at that. It says, "Horse." I'll play it back later and see if we get.
Yeah, you're not getting a horse.
fault. We tried, Cody. It'll happen eventually. We'll see about that.
Yeah,
is
that's
I
what I
We'll
thought.
see about that.
Didn't you hear that? We'll see about that.
And actually, he would always say, we'll see about that.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really nice to meet you, Cody. Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what?
And something. Yeah. I just got goosebumps. Feels like I'll have it happen to me where it feels like something moves behind me.
Yeah.
Usually, like I notice spiritual energy, like they'll move through the spine, in the back and stuff.
Huh.
That's why you'll see a lot of people like that are real spiritualists,
Yeah.
like mediums or paranormal investigators. They'll put their backs to the wall when they feel weird. Yeah, go for it.
Cody, can you say hi to Maya and Jared and Maddie? Is there anything you want to say to them? I heard a hi
Did you
too.
hear a huh?
Yeah. Sometimes if you hold it too, it's like transferring like your energy to that. You can like put it down so if you don't have to like. Yeah, I mean just in general.
Cody, how do you feel about? I was going to ask him about softball, but I've already asked him that. Is there anything about?
I heard a laugh.
I keep hearing laughter.
Yeah.
Okay. Cody told me to stop asking questions last time we did this on the dead, so I kept asking questions.
Oh,
and
really?
She starts laughing. She's like, "Your brother says to stop asking questions."
Yeah. Because it gets like it's like the same thing if you're alive. Like if I keep asking questions, I guess like Are you happy, Cody? say Nick's here?
Nick's
That's
here.
what I thought I heard.
Yeah.
Hold on, was Nick the kid that just passed
No, this
away
is
in the
Nick.
motorcycle?
Dad, this is Nick.
No, that was
That's
Cameron.
Cameron.
That was Cameron.
Never mind.
Did he know Cameron?
Yeah.
Okay.
They went to high school together, yeah.
Well, but Cameron was older because Cameron was 23.
Yeah. 2 years older.
Cody, is there anything you want me to tell Kaylee? She's doing better than that's
Yeah.
I would have thought he would have been excited about Nick being here.
Yeah.
He'd been like, what?
Be more happy. Are you happy Nick's here? Laughing.
It comes and goes too. It'll be interesting, like, just like quiet. But you gotta think it's like a lot of energy. Like I look at it as like it's super drained when we talk and talk and talk, and I'm just like, oh, I'm drained. I think it works the same way in a sense.
Yeah.
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 Is that how it works, Cody? Like, do you use energy to speak to us?
Yes and something.
Yeah, I can't make out the second part.
I couldn't either.
Like yes and something.
Cody, what are you touching somebody right now?
Really like.
Who are you touching in this room right now? Can you say one of our names who you're touching?
Did he say Nick?
I thought he said Nick.
Your dad is here too. You want to say anything to your dad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you want to say? I think it just goes.
That's what
That
I
was-
thought I
Yeah. Wow. That was really cool.
And honestly, that's what I would expect him to say.
That
That's
was
how he
really
would
cool.
say it.
We'll have to. You have to play that back because that sounded like it was really silent, but it
Yeah.
it sounded like.
Did you say love ya?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Cody, are you mad that we're in your room? No.
No.
He would always get mad at me.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, he goes, no, cool.
He said cool.
He gets mad when I'm in his room.
Is there anything you want to tell him, Kevin? I think it's.
Just that I love him back. I love you, bud.
We love you, Cody. We miss you. I know. Did he say I know?
Tell Grandpa we love him and we miss all of you guys.
He loves.
He loves.
Yeah.
Cody, is Grandpa Carl or Grandpa Nick near you? Yes.
He's here.
He's here.
You say here or miss you?
I don't know.
I thought I heard he said.
Nick's here.
Next year.
He's happy.
Yeah, they know. There's a lot of people who know me over there. I do this all the time, Cody. But you know that. It's really cool to finally meet you and talk to you.
I thought he said you
You too. I thought I heard you too.
I heard you're an amazing baseball player. I was.
I thought,
I
yeah, I
was,
was.
yeah.
That's what I heard.
Well, you're definitely.
You've made an impact on so many
She's
people.
like, I don't like
Oh,
that.
right there. You helped a lot of people.
And Cody, we saw Jake yesterday. Jake from your club team.
I don't know what
Sure
that
what
was.
that was.
But that,
Something came through there.
Well, Cody, you've made an impact in this world, and everybody is thinking about you. And
It sounded like he said, I'm not done.
I heard I'm not done.
I'm not.
I still can.
I still can.
what is it that you want to do?
Yeah, what can we do to help you?
Story? Did you hear
Story?
story?
Yeah, something like
Keep
that.
telling the story.
Is there something bigger that's happening that you have in motion right now?
Yeah.
Something helps.
I heard help. Like,
Are you trying to help people?
yes? I heard yes.
I heard a yes.
All right, well, we'll get your message out. Is there anything you want to tell people? Because right now people... Yeah. What do you want to tell everybody?
I thought I heard take this seriously.
Everyone's something.
Yeah.
Cody, I have something I gotta tell you, okay, bud? Jackson is my puppy. I heard mine. He's
Exactly
my
what he would
puppy.
say. It's mine.
Also, Maya wants to know if you know about Kimball. Yes.
Yes.
Kimball is my friend Alex's brother, so I've been hanging out with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I miss you.
Yeah.
What was that?
I miss you.
I miss you.
How are you able to talk to us right now? Or communicate with us?
I don't know.
Huh. What do you see right now?
Maya's funny.
Are you able to see us?
Yes.
Yes.
And you can hear us? Is that in the background? That's weird.
Something that hasn't come through before.
I know, that was weird. That was like some other weird cry of something.
Yeah.
But that's what happens. It's like, I learned that it's like a lighthouse. When other things like are known, it's almost like they go to that lighthouse. You know, spirits go to the lighthouse and they start communicating. So you'll randomly get other people you don't know who it is.
Oh.
All right, Cody, well, thank you for allowing us to talk to you and tell your story.
It was good to talk to you again, bud.
Love you, Cody.
Love you, bud.
I love you too.
Too.
Okay,
Oh
I
my
heard
gosh,
that.
but you could hear the vocal tone of
I
it.
heard that, and he had that
That-
deep voice.
That sounded
All
like...
right. Did he just say all right?
Yeah. Wow, we're just excited because
That's funny.
this is new to us, like different to us to communicate. That was amazing.
Cody, can you say I love you one more time? Or do it on video. Laughing.
All right.
All right.
I think he said it.
Love
I heard that.
I love you.
I heard that.
Me too.
Yes.
Too.
And he keeps saying, me too, yes.
Okay, I love you, bud.
Love you.
Love you too again.
Cody, you're still a shithead. He would call me a shithead.
Yeah.
And you still are? Is that what he said?
I don't know.
It was laughing too. Yeah, right there. Yeah, you just did it there.
Dad, Cody
Funny.
just called me a shithead.
Oh,
Oh wow.
Cody, let's do this again. Let's talk again, okay?
Yep.
It's great meeting you. Good talking to you. You're a good kid, man.
He said say hi to everyone at Untitled.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. And I will make sure your story is told to everybody, okay?
Shithead.
Well, can't get grounded. So that's how you look at it. All right, buddy, take care. Anything else you want to say? Before
We
we
love you.
We love you. We miss you.
Miss you.
Miss you.
Cody, I'm going to turn this off now. We won't be able to hear you through this anymore, but you can always say hi to them and just be happy, man. Just be good, be happy.
Yep. Okay,
All right,
bye-bye.
see you later.
That
Wow.
was cool.
That was cool.
That
I heard him
is-
right as night say, "You're a shithead."
That is like that was a real intelligent conversation. Like, I mean, it's one thing for it to phonetically happen like randomly once in a while, but for it to be
Responding.
not just once, but 2 times, 3 times, the odds are like 1 in a million for that to happen, like 1 in a trillion.